What is up, guys? It's Cal, and in this video I'm going to show you the first wing of Tome of Sargeras because it just came out. It's out for the weekend on the PTR. It's called The Gates of Hell. So you're gonna, join right in. You see the usual crew there. There's Velen, Illidan, Khadgar. There's also a clone of Khadgar in the center. I don't know what that's about. But yeah, you're just gonna kill all the guys in there, and then you're gonna face the first boss, Gul'dan. So this is the PTR, so it's definitely, subject to change when it hits live. But not only is this the PTR, but it's LFR, as I said at the beginning. Of course, it's not normal, it's not heroic. So there's, of course, going to be changes from normal to LFR, because it was, fairly easy fight. Kind of straightforward towards the beginning of the fight, and seemed pretty frequently throughout the fight. Spikes would just emit from the ground. You'd be able to see like a small fissure on the ground. Don't stand on that, of course, or else it'll hurt you. It didn't hurt, like it hit me once. It didn't hurt a lot, but try not to get hit by that. He would also target a random player with this like green arrow. I always noticed, I don't think it ever targeted me, but I would always notice that player would stand behind some spikes. I guess it probably reduces the damage of what happens, because like a big ball will come out and hit that player, and it'll also knock down any spikes in its way. He'll do this thing called, I think it's like internal burning, where you do have to stand behind all of the remaining spikes up, because if you don't, it'll knock you back, and I assume it does a lot of damage. Never hit me, but just stand behind the spikes. All of the spikes will get destroyed when that internal burning thing is up. It is a fairly long cast time, so you do have a lot of time to get behind the spikes. And then on top of that, really the only last thing I noticed of him was that he would affect what seemed like his current target, so the tank, with this circle around them, and it looks like they have this fell bubble on them. I assume that might be the tank swap ability. Don't know exactly how that works. Seems like it might just happen to one person and then the other tank taunts off. I don't 100% know. But that was really the entire fight on the PTR. Now once he's dead, don't do the mistake that our entire raid did and walk up these stairs and look like fools. Where you do end up wanting to go is there's a pit that was right beside the last boss. There's this fiery pit. You jump down there and you go to this Murloc-ish boss that has Murlocs guarding him. Now the next boss was Harjatan. Now this one was a bit more difficult than before. But what's going to happen in the fight is that Murloc ads will spawn. We kind of disregarded them. You might not want to, so try and kill them. But also, he will have an energy bar that will go up to 100. It seems like it just goes up by 5 every time he melees the tank. Now once that bar reaches 100, now this is actually very important. This was kind of the reason why we were wiping in LFR, was that he will do a frontal cone which hits for 20 million, at least that's what the Dungeon Journal says. Hits for 20 million as a frontal cone, but it's split amongst everyone it hits. So right before that energy bar fills up, because he does it right as soon as he hits 100 energy, right before that energy bar fills up, everyone needs to go in front of the boss and soak that frontal AoE cone. And then his energy bar goes back to 0, and he'll do that same thing a few times. Now while this is happening, random people in the raid will get this blue circle around them. Now what you want to do is kind of, I guess, just stand back away from everyone and drop it off, because it'll drop an ice puddle under you, and if you stand in it, it will of course hurt you, but you'll also get a stacking debuff, which doesn't have a timer on it, by the way, but it does fall off at a certain point in the fight, and it will increase, it'll put a dot on you, and it'll increase your frost damage taken depending on how many stacks you have, which is important for phase 2, because after his energy bar fills up, it seemed like 3-ish times when it filled up to 0, then he did this massive frontal AoE cone, so that seemed like it happened 3-ish times. He would go into his next phase, which he would then soak in all of the ice puddles around into him, and all the ice puddles he soaks up gives him a stacking buff depending on how many he soaked up, and that stacking buff would manipulate his melee attack. Every time he would melee, it would do ice damage to the entire raid, and every time he would melee, 1 stack of that puddle buff on him would fall off. So he would melee 15-ish times. It seemed like the first phase 2 he did, it was 15, and the second phase 2 it was 30. So make sure you don't have a lot of stacks of that increased ice damage buff, or that will do a lot of damage. And that was pretty much the entire fight. Seemed like a big DPS check boss. Now the final boss in this wing of Sargeras is like Lady Vash 2.0 it looks like. Now throughout this fight, I had like no idea what was going on. There was just stuff happening all over the place. People were getting shot by lightning, ads will spawn that you have to kill, jellyfish will also pop out that you have to get away from or else they'll stun you, tornadoes will also spawn on either side of the room that just move to the opposite side. Get away from those. And also you will get targeted by, or you might get targeted by this green arrow. One time it hit me, didn't do that much damage to me, it put like a dot on me, but then the second time it like instantly killed me, and I read in the dungeon journal that someone has to be standing like in between the boss and that arrow to take less damage. I don't know, something like that. And then at 50% health, she gets new abilities. There will be like this darkish green crap on the ground and this darkish purple crap that you don't stand in, and then the middle section will also, there will be like a water effect, and a huge fish shark hybrid will just jump over the entire middle section and will almost instantly kill you if you're standing there. If you're doing this on normal and heroic, it most likely will just instantly kill you. And then there will also be these big sharks on the side that will suck you in. Now what someone said in the raid, which we didn't really effectively do in LFR, was that the darkish purple crap on the ground, you have to walk over that, which when you do, you soak it up and your movement speed is actually reduced. But it puts like a 10-second debuff on you. When that 10 seconds is up, the purplish crap will fall off of you. You probably have to walk over by that shark that's on the side of the arena. Don't get sucked up by him or else it will instantly kill you. And you have to let the 10 seconds drop off, and he has to like suck up 3 of the purplish crap on the ground, and then he'll go away. I don't know. Something like that. I didn't really read the dungeon journal that well. But yeah, that seemed like the entire fight. This was definitely the hardest boss of the 3, so it did go much higher in difficulty. But yeah. So that's the entire video of the Gates of Hell, the first wing in Sargeras on LFR. I'll be posting the rest of them as they come out. But if this video was interesting at all to you, you can leave a like on it. You can sub to the channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.